Hello and welcome to my time management class. Today's topic is assess the root issue. So our goal today is to address and overcome the root issue of our time management struggles. While we're together, we'll reflect on common time management challenges, we'll pinpoint unhelpful habits, embrace effective time management habits, and plan a more workable situation. So when it comes to time management, here's what does not work. Overbooking ourselves, lateness, procrastination, and a lack of planning. So let's take some time today to reflect on each of these habits, to consider the root issues, and plan some more effective habits that we can embrace instead. All right, overbooking ourselves. Overbooking ourselves backfires because we need more time than we thought. And it leads to burnout and also to just doing a lot of things, unfortunately, poorly. So the emotional root is admirable, that we have a lot of big dreams and we want to accomplish really great things. The administrative root tends to be that maybe our estimates are off, or we understate the full scope of what needs to be done, and we estimate how long things will take. And then we can address this though. We can address the root issue by considering the layers of subtasks within each task, keeping in mind that there's always more that needs to be done than we think, which means we got to schedule a little more time than we thought. So then more effective habits to embrace are scheduling less tasks each day. I know it's hard to do, but less tasks in a day, and then leaving extra space between each task. That way we can have ample time to accomplish our dreams. All right, lateness. Lateness happens because things don't usually happen the way that we thought they were supposed to, and it leads to unnecessary fees and to pressure and disapproval from others. But the full impact of lateness is that we miss out on the benefits that we would have had and could have had if we had been punctual. Losing people's confidence and also maybe even straining relationships. So the emotional root to lateness can be that maybe we just didn't really want to do it in the first place. Maybe we were just trying to be nice or trying to be accommodating. And this seems like a good thing. It's what I call a unhelpful good habit, because no matter how good it might seem to be accommodating, the drudgery for you and then also the disappointment from them isn't really helpful anymore. So it's an unhelpful good habit. Another emotional root to lateness could be that we're just so excited about it. It could also be that we didn't stop our previous tasks because of perfectionism. We just wanted to get everything perfect, but in doing so, we kind of sabotage the thing. Or it could be a combination of all these things. The administrative root tends to be that we scheduled an undesirable schedule for ourselves, that we didn't set a limit to our prep time. We got to limit that. Or that maybe we went over our preparation time, even if we did set a time for it, maybe we went over it. So we can address the root issue by being honest with ourselves and by respecting our own time. We can let our excitement that is there be inspiration to get started early. And we can also embrace that good enough is better than being late. So we can address the root issue by being honest with ourselves and by respecting our own time. We can let our excitement be inspiration to get started early. And we can also embrace that good enough is better than being late. Some more effective habits to embrace for lateness is to decline undesired tasks, to set an earlier deadline by which preparations need to conclude, and to conclude all tasks by that deadline so that you can be on time. That way you can be fully reliable, you can be early, and you can enjoy the task fully. Okay, so procrastination. This doesn't work because a task must be thrown together under a stressful situation, which is limiting, and it doesn't usually work out so well. This usually leads to poor quality results when we procrastinate. We don't want to just do a rush job. So the emotional root of procrastination is often that we just don't feel like doing it. Just don't want to do it. Or maybe we just feel overwhelmed by the task. It just seems like there's just so many moving parts and we don't want to just dive right in. So the administrative root tends to be that, again, we maybe scheduled ourselves for an undesirable schedule. Maybe we've scheduled something that we just don't want to do or don't know how to do. It could be that we don't know how to do it. Maybe we're just waiting to feel inspired. And that's one of those unhelpful good habits, because there's nothing inspiring about that last minute crunch. Or maybe it could be that maybe we're just lacking confidence about the whole process or the whole project. So we can address the root issue by being honest with ourselves and respecting our own time. We can remember that our capabilities, they don't limit us. That it's just our willingness and our time. We can always do the research and we can always learn. We have to be realistic about what we're willing to do and be realistic about how much time we really have. And also just to be confident that with the right amount of time and with the right amount of willingness, that we can do anything. So more effective habits to embrace are scheduling tasks that we fully desire, only committing ourselves to things that we have time to do and are willing to do, and staying confident in our abilities. That way we can carefully work on tasks with an ample amount of time, with options and clarity, and enjoy great results. Then there is a lack of planning. So this doesn't work because we're not able to make the most of the time that we have. It leads to missed opportunities when we don't plan. And the emotional root is usually just a desire to be spontaneous. The administrative route to a lack of planning tends to be that we just didn't find it necessary to plan in much detail, thinking that it'll all come together, but instead it all falls apart. So we can address the root issue here by having a regular routine, by scheduling a good specific time for each task, and then planning each day the night before, at least the night before. Really, the week before is better. So more effective habits to embrace here are similar to the ones to combat overbooking lateness and procrastination. So we want to schedule less tasks each day. We want to make sure that we are setting an earlier deadline to conclude everything by. We want to make sure that we are only scheduling tasks that we fully desire. That's a big one. And then only scheduling things that we have time to do and are willing to do. That way we can use our time wisely and make the most of every opportunity. All right, so I'd love to know, how did you enjoy today's class and what questions do you have for me? You can let me know in the comments below, or if you'd like, you can always just save your questions for support group, or you can save them for coaching. Either way, I look forward to supporting you along your journey. All right, thank you again for attending. Have a blessed day. Hello, and welcome to my time management class. Today's topic is be self-disciplined. So our goal today is to learn new ways to be self-disciplined so that we can regain control over ourselves, over our time, and over our lives. While we're together, we'll consider what's taking control of the wheel. When we lack self-control, we'll look into we'll discuss more about gentle yet effective ways to discipline ourselves. And we'll talk more about planning techniques to regain control over ourselves, over our time, and thus our lives. So let's take a second to consider what is in control. What is in control? So the only one other than ourselves that we ever really want in control or in the driver's seat of our lives is God. So like when your heart feels convicted to move in a different direction, or like when you feel divided between what you want to do and what's the right thing to do. So in moments like that, perhaps God is just trying to steer you in a different direction to align you with His will and to keep you on the right course in life. Now, any other drivers, even if they have innocent intentions, they rarely have our best interests in mind. And that's just human nature. So it's important to know what are your best interests so that you can be able to gauge if this is something that is in your best interest. So what is it that you want? And what's your calling? It's really important to know all these things and to be fully convicted so that you know where you're going and you make sure that you can get there and stay on course. When we lack direction, when we lack conviction, we can also lack self-control. So it's really important to make sure that we are fully convinced and fully convicted so that we can get to where we're going and we can stay on course. All right, so without self-control, we have to wonder who or what is controlling you? Let's reflect on these next few things. If you've ever found yourself suddenly in line for fast foods that you didn't originally plan to get, or wanting that outfit that you didn't originally plan to buy, or wasting time watching something that you hadn't planned to watch, then advertisements might be in that driver's seat, turning you right off course from where you wanted to go. Do you find yourself putting up security for your friends or for your congregation or for your job with very little time left for yourself and for your personal goals and callings? If so, then other people might have taken control of your time, which means that they are in position to have control over the course of your life. Have you ever found yourself canceling plans after a rough day, eating poorly after a stressful situation, or being short-tempered with people because you felt some type of a way, or just neglecting responsibilities because you feel excited about something else? If so, then emotions might be in control of the experiences and the words and the actions that you will be remembered by. If you want to stay self-controlled and prevent these things from veering you off course, then prayerfully plan your time, plan your meals, plan your ambitions, plan your spending, and plan your actions. Hey, baby. You got that book? It's bedtime bonnet. Let me change you. You say, hey. So if you want to stay self-controlled and prevent these things from veering you off course, then it's good to prayerfully plan your time, your meals, your ambitions, and spending, as well as your actions. That way, you can tell the advertisements that you've already got plans for your meals and for your money. You can remind your emotions about your ambitions. And you can make sure that the time that you grant to others won't leave you miles away from your own goals and callings. So we also need discipline. If we want to be in the driver's seat of our own lives, then we've got to have self-discipline with an emphasis on the word discipline, because discipline is key. So our parents and God have disciplined us for our good. Discipline works and is helpful because when we feel the negative consequence, we want to avoid the undesirable consequences and we want to avoid repeating that mistake. Without discipline, we get very comfortable doing unhelpful habits. And without self-discipline, we invite disciplinary actions from others, from our employers, and reprimands from family, etc. But when we discipline ourselves, we can avoid reprimands and disciplinary actions because no one else will have a reason to. Plus, when we discipline ourselves, we get to enjoy the fruit that comes with embracing more helpful habits. So let's look at some ways to discipline ourselves gently yet firmly and in a loving way. So when others discipline us, it comes with some sort of timeout, reprimand, or maybe a fee, or a natural consequence like standing outside of a closed door because we arrived late and we're being turned away. So the same goes for disciplining ourselves. To discipline yourself, it's good to take a time out and reflect on the milder consequences. This is the sound that you're hearing. A baby playing with water. Yay! Nice. No wonder. Pick it up. Yeah? It's nice. Wow. To discipline yourself, it can be helpful to take a time out and reflect on the milder consequences. So for example, even if the unhealthy food hasn't raised your blood pressure yet, maybe it still upsets your stomach. Or even though you still got to work on time this time, maybe you suffered a lot of stress or anxiety along the way. To discipline yourself, you can also reflect on the consequences that could have happened and still reprimand yourself. I encourage you to feel the emotions that come from those reflections, and remember those emotions aren't bad. They're there to teach you something. They're there to make sure you avoid repeating it and avoid having to deal with that problem in the future. So I encourage you to try implementing consequences for yourself. Take time to research the medications and the procedures that you'll need if you continue eating unhealthy. Apologize anyway, even if you don't get called out for that hurtful statement. And put money in a jar for the fee that you could have gotten. So this week, try implementing these timeout reflections, these self-reprimands, and the natural consequences so that you can discipline yourself and stay self-disciplined. So we want to regain control. To regain control of yourself, it's good to know what are your goals and what are your callings. And be willing to say no, a gentle no thank you to the ads and the people and the invitations and the emotions that would otherwise conflict with your goals and callings. And to regain control of your time, it's important to plan your day before you start it, at least a day or a week in advance, to get first dibs before others begin requesting your time. And in doing so, in regaining control of yourself and regaining control of your time, you're also going to regain control of your life. Thank you again for attending, and have a blessed day. Hello, and welcome to my time management class. Today's topic is prioritize your commitments. So our goal for today is to prioritize our commitments so that we can focus our time and attention on what's really most important to us. While we're together, we'll cover how to decide which commitments will take priority over others. We'll take time to choose our commitments wisely and learn how to align our commitments to our life. So you can do anything often gets mistaken for you can do everything. But can you and should you? We can have a lot of commendable goals, but there's only so much time in each day, month, and year. So let's make sure that we commit to our goals and handle our commitments with care. Take a moment to grab a pen and paper and draw 3 vertical lines for 4 columns. In column number 2, list out 10 commitments that you have. And while you write, I'll just give you some examples. It could be work, family, church, maybe your spouse and kids, yourself, travel, TV, health, whatever's important to you in your world. All right, so now we want to number those. Number those priorities in order of importance to you, from 1 to 10. 1 being most important. So it's vital for us to make our actions reflect the order of importance. So your number 1 priority should take precedence over your number 4 priority. And in most circumstances, your number 4 priority would also then take priority over your number 7 priority. And your number 7 priority should never take precedence or supersede priority number 2. So for example, if we declare that family is more important than work, our time and our interactions should confirm and convey that. If we declare that health is more important than TV, then our time and our interactions should confirm and convey that. So these commitments we have written down today, these are our commitments right now, but they don't always have to stay exactly like this. Especially since in many cases, we haven't really strategically chosen those commitments to be perfect for where we are in life right now. Chances are they've just accumulated over time. So with that being said, let's take a moment to actively choose our commitments. We want to make sure that we're choosing our commitments wisely. So let's label how each commitment feels. Let's see how they feel. So go with your gut feelings on this and these answers. No one's watching, so you won't be hurting anyone's feelings by being candid about how you actually feel about each commitment. So grab your paper and your pencil and review your list for any commitments that you might feel obligated to do. If you see any that you're obligated to do or feeling obligated to do, then underline that and write the word obligated next to that commitment in column 1. Write the word obligated next to those commitments in column 1. If there's anything that you feel uncomfortable with doing, then underline that and write uncomfortable next to that habit in column 1. If there's anything you feel unhappy about doing, then underline that and write the word unhappy next to it in column 1. And if there's anything that you feel divided about, then underline that and write divided next to that item in column number 1. So for the commitments that you underlined, it's a good idea to try your best to find ways to make that commitment more ideal. And if for some reason you can't, it may be good to just avoid that commitment altogether. So get creative to find some ways to make your commitments more ideal. For example, if you feel obligated by a commitment, you could maybe enlist help or find a way to make that commitment less demanding. If by chance there's more underlying commitments than you like, then this might be an opportunity to commence a major life realignment, to set your life on a course that you are truly happy about. And this next step can get you started, because next we're going to try to work on aligning our commitments to our life. So oftentimes when we start to feel our commitments are feeling like uncomfortable obligations that we feel divided about, It's because our goals and our commitments are out of alignment and are going in two different directions. So let's make sure that our commitments are aligned with our goals. So in column 3, write a list of 5 to 7 main goals in your life. In column 3, write a list of 5 to 7 main goals in your life. Now reflect on what you've written and what you see. Are any of your commitments sabotaging your goals? In column 4, write the word sabotage next to any commitment that is sabotaging your goals. And then this time, draw an arrow from that commitment pointing to the goals, to any goals that has a tendency to block, strain, or sabotage. For any commitment that tends to sabotage our goals, find a way to align that commitment to your goals or to avoid making that commitment altogether. And you can get creative with ways to align your commitments and your goals. For example, if your job is conflicting with your travel goals, you could look for ways to work while being in a camper or a trailer and traveling while you work. So now that we've chosen our commitments wisely and aligned them with our goals, let's schedule a regular day and time for each commitment in the week and in the month to make sure that higher priority commitments have higher amounts of time reserved. Now that we've taken time to choose our commitments wisely and align them with our goals, let's schedule a regular day and time for each commitment in the week and in the month, and making sure that the higher priority commitments have higher amounts of time reserved. After class, I encourage you to do whatever it takes to ensure that your commitments are enjoyable and align with your goals. Then rewrite your list, only including the priorities that you've hand selected, making the list neat and pretty. Each day, make sure that your schedule and your actions reflect your new list. And enjoy living with commitments that align with a life that you truly enjoy. All right, I appreciate you attending. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a blessed day. Hello, and welcome to my time management class. Today's topic is use time wisely. Our goal for today is to have routines that help us to use time wisely. While we're together today, we'll choose what we want to be a part of our routines. We'll ensure that there's ample time for each priority and design routines that help our goals to be fulfilled smoothly. So the root word for routine is route. So then your routine is simply going to be the route that you take to get throughout the day. So let's take a second to write out our routines. We're going to write out our regular weekday routine. When you wake, when you exercise, when you do your morning hygiene and eat breakfast, when you go to work and have dinner, when you relax and when you do your evening hygiene, when you sleep. Take time to write all these things out. Write out your regular week routine. You'll also want to do the same thing for your weekend. Again, write when you wake up, when you exercise, when you do your hygiene, when you eat breakfast and when you have dinner, when you relax and when you go to sleep, etc. So again, that's your regular weekday routine and your regular weekend routine. You also want to write out your monthly routine. When you have your hair appointment each month, which weekend you serve as usher at church, and when you have that family dinner each month. And yes, we're also going to write out our yearly routine. Label the months that you do things like planting and tending your gardens. The months that you tend to go on that annual trip. The month that you homeschool. The months that you have that second seasonal job. This is going to look different for everyone. So once you've had time to write all this out, take a look at it. Does it seem excessively heavy on any certain day or any certain week or any certain month? We'll want to choose what we want to be a part of our routines. To choose what you want to be a part of your routine, it's helpful to weed out the unhelpful habits that waste time. So we're going to label some of these habits. Go with your gut feeling on these labels, and just remember, no one's watching, no one's going to judge on how you feel about each one of these routines. So review your routine for any habits that you feel are a waste of time. Again, no one's knowing. And if you feel that something is kind of a waste of time, then just write the word waste next to that habit. Take your time and just go with your gut. So now double check yourself and see if you can honestly label the rest of those habits with the word helpful next to each habit. Anything else that's left, you should be able to write the word helpful. And if not, then you're going to have to probably write waste. So yeah, for anything you can't honestly say is helpful, write the word waste next to that item. We also want to make sure that we have ample time for each thing. So now that we've pinpointed what we want to be a part of our routine, let's ensure that there's ample time for each priority. Do you see anything on your list where you've taken just an unnecessarily long amount of time? And then try taking some time away from that priority. So a big tip that I always encourage everyone to do is to consider starting your entire routine earlier to make sure that you have enough time for everything. Just remember to end your routine earlier too, so that you can still get enough sleep. So you may have noticed earlier that I said that my family and we live with 12 healthy habits in order to enjoy a better quality of life. So then time management is just one of the 12. We embrace all these healthy habits so that we can have less bad habits to sabotage our efforts to obey God and more good habits to support our success as we live to do all that Yahweh called us to do. For time management and for each of these 12 healthy habits, I offer guidance via videos and workbooks and classes and support group to help you to implement and stick with each habit. So if you could use more guidance with this or any of the 12 healthy habits, I'm here to guide you. You can find more details on my website, which is trulythrivinglives.org. All right, so I'd love to know, how did you enjoy today's class and what questions did you have for me? You can let me know in the comments below, or if you'd like, you can save your questions for support group or coaching. Either way, I look forward to supporting you along your journey. Thank you again for attending, and I hope you have a blessed day.